From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open Line. I am Ben Hall. Very good show tonight, talking all about Metro government. A lot has been going on in Metro government. Certainly, a new mayor is in place, a lot of changes coming about. We want to talk about some of the bigger things going on tonight. Very happy to have with us the press secretary for Mayor Megan Barry, Sean Brasted. Thank you for coming on.
Ben, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. So much to talk about. Affordable housing, mass transit, the local hire initiative, TIF. These are some things that just come to mind. All right, let's start with affordable housing. Big issue for a lot of people. I know there's been some work in that regard. Kind of where are we?
So the Metro Council in 2015, they passed a law that said that the Planning Commission had to go through and look at inclusionary housing policies that would focus our efforts when it comes to building new housing developments, new rental properties towards having an affordable housing component in it. And that can be, affordable housing is not just, very, very low income housing. It can be anywhere from 80% to 120% of the adjusted median income. And so I think what we're trying to do is create workforce housing, create low-income housing, create transitional housing for homeless people, create a whole wide range of things so that people can age in place. And so the inclusionary housing policy, it went to the Planning Commission. They studied it. They had someone come in. They offered some recommendations, and they said when they offered the recommendations that this wasn't enough time. 6 months was sort of the deadline that was set. Wasn't enough time. The Planning Commission voted not to recommend that and wanted more study. And so I think right now where we're at is the Metro Council is kind of looking at that. Mayor's office is working with the Metro Council, trying to walk through some of the issues, hear from concerned residents, whether it be community advocates on one side or also developers and people that are building these condo units, these rental houses. And so what we want to do is find a solution that works as best for everyone as possible, doesn't stop growth, but when incorporates affordability into growth.
It's tough when you have a property owner. How do you, and I guess, and this isn't on the table, how do you mandate what he charges?
Well,
how do you lower, he wants to charge this and you say no, you can only charge that?
Well, to answer your question, so if it comes to rent control, you can't, because the state law already bans it. And right now there's legislation working through the legislature that would ban mandatory inclusionary housing for non-rental properties as well. And so what we're looking at from the mayor's perspective and what the recommendations came out is more of a carrot approach rather than a stick approach. And so it's about sort of giving incentives. We've done developers incentives in the past when it comes to density bonuses, parking, other issues. So it's looking at that option and saying, hey, how can we give people more incentive to build affordable components within their housing, or to pay into a fund and build elsewhere.
And we'll talk more about this as the show goes on, this issue. But when we've talked about this issue in the past, a big question is, how do you define affordable housing? What is affordable? Is there an income threshold that the mayor's office is thinking, and just how do we define what is affordable?
Sure, and like I said, it's a wide range of things. So workforce housing, generally you're looking at about 80 to 120% of AMI, and
what is AMI again?
Average median income.
Okay.
And so that's looking at the area and seeing how much people make and looking at that. So that's going to be sort of your workforce housing component, and then there's lower income housing for people that make between say 60%, 30%, and 80% of AMI, and then there's 30% and below, and that's extremely poverty housing. That's that's your transitional housing for homeless people. And so I think what we're trying to do is find a range of solutions. For a lot of people experiencing homelessness, they may need some more supportive housing, things with mental health involved, and other support services there. We already have a lot of when you talk about some of the MDHA type developments, that's generally geared towards more very low income, and so the workforce workforce housing component. That can be both creating new housing for people to move into, but it's also about preserving and maintaining people in their homes. And so we have property tax freeze option for senior citizens. So they can go to the property tax assessor and say, hey, my property tax is going to go up. I want to freeze it at my current level if they're lower income and above a certain age. And so that option is available to help keep people in their homes, as well as there are programs out there, especially with nonprofits, to help repair homes that are currently in disrepair. And so it's all about sort of allowing people to age in place. You love a community, you may need to downsize, you may need to upsize at some point, but it's about being able to sort of stay in the same area.
So that kind of sets the table for affordable housing, which is one of those major issues. And if you're on the line, hold on, we'll get to your call. I want to go to another major issue, mass transit.
Sure.
Big in the campaign, traffic, huge issue around town. What is being done?
So there's a lot of things being done. One of the number one things, and I as the press secretary, I kind of monitor social media, and every time there's a big traffic jam on the highway, we get tweets at us, and so we hear about it on a constant basis.
So they tweet the mayor's office when there's a big
They tweet the mayor, yeah. They say, we're in a traffic jam, and a lot of times, most of the time, they're on the interstates, and as you know, that's a state and federal issue. But we don't really look at it as it's the state's problem or the federal government's problem. We look at it, it's all of our problem. We all don't like to get stuck in traffic, and so there are a few different things that are sort of in the works. The mayor's regional caucus with the MPO, the Metro Planning Organization, that's sort of the regional bodies of different counties, passed an updated plan to sort of look at broader how we're going to deal with traffic and transit going forward throughout a county region. RTA, the Regional Transit Authority, is working with MTA, the Metro Transit Authority, to try and do more strategic planning from a 25-year perspective to what we can do. And recently, just today actually, the Metro Transit Authority announced their In Motion 2016 survey. And so you can go to that In Motion, that's in the letter motion 2016.org, and you can go and give your opinions. So there's three sort of general buckets. There is sort of the maintenance of effort type scenario where we're sort of investing kind of in the same path we have been on transit. There is sort of a middle of the road where we're investing in more upgraded, boosted bus rapid transit, and then there's the broader, more expensive $5.4 billion over 25 years, which is more of a light rail, commuter rail. So a lot of those are on the table. A lot of those will involve state help, federal help, getting funding, and we need having regional partners come into play. That's
what I hear people want, but then they don't like the cost. They want the light rail,
sure,
the commuter rail, but it's going to be so expensive.
Sure.
So this, it sounds like, is the beginning of a conversation about cost. At some point, if we're really going to tackle this, there's going to have to be money put toward it. And
Absolutely.
Where does that money come from?
And I think Governor Haslam has made an effort to try and get us closer to having some sort of transportation solutions when it comes to funding. We haven't seen it exactly yet through this legislature, but hopefully we can see something come out of it. What we really need to do is look at the gas tax, look at other forms of funding. We're also looking at creative solutions. Recently, Senator Bill Ketron, a Republican out in Murfreesboro, he put forward a plan called P3 Public-Private Partnerships. And we're looking at that as a way sort of to involve private partnerships to create transit options from, say, Murfreesboro to Nashville. We could use shoulder lanes on highways, and that would be an option to sort of get us using rapid transit, bus rapid transit on our highway system in a way that gets people from one place to the other faster, encourages people to use that transit option, because if you're riding a bus and you're stuck in the same track as you're riding your car, you're probably going to go in your car. And so we're trying to give people more options there. And then, so those are a few of the ways, but really it is a longer conversation that involves the state and the regional partners in terms of how do we pay for all of this going forward.
Let's take a couple of calls here. Let's go to Jay. No, that's not Jay. Hold on. All right, let's go to Jay. Hello, Jay.
Hey, sorry about that.
No, that was my fault. That was all on me, Jay. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I just caught y'all. Y'all was talking about affordable housing in Nashville. We went out to eat with my aunt this week in downtown Nashville, and one of our good friends' husband is a big contractor, works on the condos, et cetera, downtown. And he believes that the future in Nashville is they're going to tear down the fairgrounds and the Sound Stadium and build affordable housing there. And I just wondered what his thoughts were. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I can say with the fairgrounds, there's a charter amendment that would preclude us from doing that. It says in the charter that you can't really move or change anything on that land. You have to sort of keep what's existing there. So that's not really an option. When it comes to, I believe, Greer Stadium or the old Sound Stadium, we're looking at various options. Whether affordable housing is going to be that component, we're not really sure yet. It's going to really involve the local community saying, what do you want to see, what do you want to do with this land, whether it's a park, whether it's mixed income, mixed level housing. So those are a couple options. There's a lot of things that we're doing. There's also a program that we're doing with the Barnes Fund, which is to take surplus metro properties. These are properties that basically that people didn't pay their property taxes on, or they just sort of left in disrepair. The city has taken them over the number of years, and so they passed legislation a year or two ago that said cities can give that land to nonprofit developers to create affordable housing. And we just announced through the Barnes Fund a few weeks ago that we're going to be giving, I believe, about 12 of those parcels out to nonprofits so that they can build single and mixed-use family developments there. So it's a whole lot of different things working together. I can't say which exact properties are going to go where in terms of affordable housing. It's not necessarily about which land we have. There are places that we can do it. It's about giving developers and contractors the incentives to say, hey, you're going to take a little bit of a price hit here, but we're going to give you more incentives to go ahead and build it by having the affordability component.
You start talking about the fairgrounds, and that becomes emotional for a lot of people, but there's a charter amendment that's not in the conversation. It's not going to happen.
No.
Greer Stadium, that's interesting. So that is part of the conversation.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we're looking at using that property. We haven't made any decisions on what we're going to do because ultimately we want to have it be part of a community conversation and say, hey, what do you guys need? We've heard people that want a park, when people want soccer. So there's a lot of different sort of ways that we can take a look at that property, and we also want to involve sort of the Nashville Next planning process. This was a planning commission project that involved thousands of people from around Davidson County and said, hey, what do you want to see in your neighborhoods? What do you want to see throughout the community? And sort of taking that into consideration when we're going forward with these projects.
All right, we're going to take a break. Philip, hang on the line. We'll take your call next. If you want to call in, there's the number at the bottom of the screen, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.